So I think we wait 1 minute and then we can start. Okay, here we go. So welcome everyone. On behalf of FISU and the FISU Gender Equality Committee, I warmly welcome you all to our today's webinar about equal voices, equal play, empowering the next generation of student athletes. It's a great pleasure to see so many familiar and new faces from all over the world, and thank you for taking the time today to join us in this important conversation. In the context of the International Women's Day, which took place on Sunday, today's discussion brings together governance, advocacy, and lived athlete experience, because sustainable change requires all three. We will explore how international sport governance advances gender equality, what empowerment looks like in practice, and how we can increase gender equality within university sports specifically. Therefore, we are honored to welcome 3 distinguished speakers who will provide unique insights into different perspectives of gender equality in sports. They will offer strategic views, lived experience, and forward-looking ideas on how to truly empower the next generation of student athletes. So welcome Gisem Grishman, Pedro Diaz, and Sabrina Mia-Barra, and thank you for taking the time to share your perspective with us today. I would also like to extend a special welcome to the Chair, Rosaura Mendes-Gamboa, and Vice Chair, Michelle Tanner of the FISU Gender Equality Committee. Thank you both for being with us today. And now, to officially open today's webinar, I would like to invite Rosaura for her opening speech. Rosaura, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Svea. Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Costa Rica. Special greeting to FISU executive member, special greeting for the Fedelis, Penina, of the other member of the FISU. Greeting to the FISU family. Welcome to all, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar. First, I would like to express my gratitude to our president, Mr. Leons Eder, and to the executive committee of the International University Sport Federation for their continued support of our Gender Equality Committee. I also extend my appreciation to the Gender Equality Committee for its ongoing work and commitment to the activities our committee undertake to build fairer and more equality organization with equal opportunities for all. And especially thank Michelle and Svea for leading this webinar entitled Equal Voice, Equal Play, Empowering the Next Generation of Student Athletes. Advancing gender equality in sport is crucial to guaranteeing human rights, eliminating stereotypes, improving women's representation in leadership, and ensuring equal resources, sponsorship, and remuneration. Furthermore, enhanced female empowerment promotes social inclusion, improves collective performance, and service as an essential educational tool to preventing violence. This is why I thank Mr. Pedro Diaz, Gender Equality and Inclusion Manager at the International Olympic Committee, Mrs. Jinsen Kirinsen, FISU Champion Awardee 2025, and Mrs. Sabrina Mibara, Brazilian table tennis athlete, for joining us today in this important space for dialogue. This discussion is being held in the context March 8, International Women's Days, as a reflection on and recognition of the contribution, achievements, and historical struggles with women in the sphere university sport. Sport is a powerful tool with global reach of the capacity to drive multiple positive social change. Furthermore, it's a key enabler of the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. The FISU Gender Equality Committee is constantly working to promote gender equality, seeking to break down existing barriers in all aspects of university sport. We are very proud of the progress made of concrete proposal and the amendments to bylaws carried out by our committee, which will be presented at the next General Assembly. Following International Women's Days on 8 March, we took a moment to reflect and celebrate, but about although recognize that university sport equality is not a distant goal. It is a race we are running here and now. As a sport organization, we understand that our playing field does not end at the lines of the court. FISU is firmly commitment to being the driving force behind breaking down the remaining barrier. We cannot speak of sporting excellence. We do not guarantee that very women student, coach, or leader has a level playing field to shine. Today, we renew our promise. As long as barriers exist, we will continue to drive change. In commemoration of the International Women's Day, FISU reaffirmed that gender equality is a strategic pillar for our sustainability. The initiative driven by our committee are the vehicle to becoming a more modern and inclusive and deeper supportive organization. The Gender Equality Committee is not just an advisor group, it is the driving force behind an organization that has decided to be more inclusive and supportive. Thanks to, thanks to this impetus, we are breaking down the barrier that has historically limited the potential of our members. Today, we proudly highlight fundamental advance, the FISU Equality Hours. This program has done from being a recognition to becoming of global best practice, rewarding federation and leaders who are changing the reality for girls and young women around the world. Increased representation. We are taking concrete steps to ensure greater representation of women of our technical and executive committee. Policies to support this change have recently been submitted to FISU members and will be presented for approval to FISU to next General Assembly in early 2027. This reflects our commitment to building a more diverse, inclusive, and ultimately stronger governance for FISU. Safe environment protocol. We have made progress in creating space from harassment and discrimination, ensuring that university sport is synonymous with respect and protection, training and mentoring. Through seminar and leadership program, we are preparing the next generation of sport leading, ensuring that female talent has a clear path to decision making. These proposals are not isolated effort. They are the foundation of more supportive organizations that understand that by providing equal opportunities for each of its members, the entire organization gains in excellence and prestige. A call to action for everyone. This sport is not just for women. We call upon the men who are part of our organization to be active allies. Gender equality is not a women issue. It's a matter for human rights and institutional quality. We need you, we need you as mentor, as promoter, as self space, and as voice that change traditional barrier. A more equitable organization is a stronger organization for everyone. Our goal is clear. That is the future. Equality will be part of FISU DNA. Today, we renew our commitment to continue working until the playing field is truly the same for everyone. Thank you very much for all. Thank you
Thank you very much, Rosalda,
Ben.
for this opening remark. Thank you. I would just like to emphasize your words by saying that FISU plays a unique role in shaping the future of sports. University sports is just not like a competitive platform. It is a space where leadership is formed, identities are shaped, and values are lived. And as a Gender Equality Committee, we contribute to this, and we ensure that equal opportunities, equal representation, and equal voices are not ambitious goals, but everyday reality in university sports. So now, for a real positive change, we need people who push boundaries, influence policy, and mentor the next generation. People like our next guest. She's a Paralympic gold medalist and the first Turkish female Paralympian to win gold at the Beijing 2008 Games. Today, she is a strong advocate for gender equality and inclusion in sport. Beyond her athletic career, she has served on the IPC Athletes Council, on the board of the European Paralympic Committee, and she works now as a sports advisor at the Ministry of Youth and Sports in Turkey, shaping policy and governance. Through programs like Womentoring and her academic research on dual careers of Paralympic athletes, she actively supports young women and para-athletes in building both sporting and academic pathways. She brings together a powerful combination of elite sporting, leadership, and mentorship, and I'm really excited to learn more about it. So a warm welcome to our FISU Gender Equality Champion Award winner 2025, Gizem Girishman. Hello, Gizem. So you have experienced sports at the highest level as a Paralympic champion, and today you influenced sport governance and policy. What was the turning point for you that made you move from competing for medals to advocating for systemic change?
First of all, I would like to share that I'm very honored to be invited and be part of this meaningful webinar on gender equality. So thank you. About the question, I actually don't see my athletic career and advocacy as separate paths. Actually, they have complemented each other from the beginning. Winning medals, achieving sportive goals was deeply fulfilling on a personal level. But over time, I realized those achievements could mean much more than that if they inspire others and contribute to broader social change. When I became the first Turkish woman in the Paralympic history to win a gold medal, my story received a lot of attention from media, and I started to receive messages from families, from women, and people with disabilities who told me that my journey had encouraged them to follow their path and pursue their own dreams. That was a quite powerful realization. And another step was participating in a leadership development program organized by the International Paralympic Committee in 2010. It aimed to encourage athletes to take roles in governance and advocacy. That experience showed me that athletes can contribute not only on the field of play, but also in shaping the future of sports. Sport has the power to transform lives and societies, and athletes have unique voice in that process.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you for the reflection on that. Very good point. So let's move on to the next question. Over the years, you have witnessed the development of gender equality in sport from different and multiple perspectives. Where do you see progress already, and where are we still too slow?
A good question. We're definitely seeing some progress in awareness and representation. Today, there is much recognition regarding the importance of women's representation in leadership and decision-making positions in sport compared to the past, definitely. However, representation alone is not enough. Sometimes we see numbers improving, but women's voices are still not fully reflected in decision-making processes. So progress in quantity needs to go in hand with progress in quality, meaning reflections in real influence, leadership opportunities, active participation, or the ability to shape the policies, the priorities. Maybe another area where we're still too slow is changing cultural norms and stereotypes. Gender-based stereotypes continue to influence how women are perceived in sport. And leadership roles in sport are still often associated with men, while supportive roles are more frequently associated with women. So changing this mindset takes time, definitely, but it is essential if we want genuine progress.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for highlighting it. And among our audience, we have a lot of FISU members and people who are directly involved in university sports. We know that not every organization or every institution is at the same stage when it comes to gender equality, but whether they represent a university, a federation, or a team. And I know that's also not an easy question, but if you have to name one practical action that any institution or person could start tomorrow, what would it be?
Again, a very good question and hard one. Well, maybe a very practical step probably would be adopting clear frameworks, which helps to translate commitments to gender equality into measurable actions. One example could be the guidelines for gender-responsive sport organizations prepared by UN Women Turkey and He for She. I was also one of the advisory board member during its preparation phase. Basically, it provides a roadmap for institutions to assess where they are currently and identify concrete actions to improve gender equality in their daily operations. Because sometimes organizations want to act but don't know where to start. So these types of frameworks maybe help them to move from good intentions to measurable progress. So it may enable monitoring and accountability. Maybe at the same time, we also need to invest in education and leadership development programs, not only for athletes, but also for coaches and sport professionals. My own sport journey, as I mentioned before, toward advocacy began with such a program. And this program gave me the confidence and the necessary tools to step into leadership and governance roles. So when people gain the knowledge and confidence to lead, they can become active agents of change within their system. So I think combining both top-down approaches like guidelines, policies, or representation quotas with bottom-up approaches like educational programs, mentorship, and leadership development is essential for sustainable progress.
Thank you. That's a great takeaway. So let's talk more about this program. Through women touring and your policy work, you actively mentor young athletes, and not anyone in this audience is at the same point in their journey, whether as an athlete, a leader, or advocates. So for those young women who are still finding their voice or building their own pathway in sport, what advice would you give to them?
Well, my message would be very simple. Show up, speak out, and believe in your potential to create change. Demand change. Every step that you take matters, not only for your own journey, but also for the girls and women who will follow you. Sport needs your voice and definitely needs your leadership. I also encourage them, I would like to encourage them to seek networks, mentorship opportunities, and opportunities to learn, because leadership is something that develops over time for sure. And support system can make a huge difference in that sense. And I advise them to never underestimate their influence. Even a small action can inspire others. Actually, I would like to share a powerful example. Mete Atatürk. He's a professor of physics from Cambridge University. I know him over social media from his posts. I learned that he has refused to participate in conferences with all male panels for nearly a decade, maybe over than a decade. So his commitment demonstrates how individual choices can contribute to building systems that leave no one behind. So often change starts with individuals, and if you're willing to stand up and raise your voice, you can be the part of that change.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing these inspiring and empowering insights. So now I would like to open the floor to our audience. So if you have any questions for Gizem, please share them with us. You can raise your hand and think about to unmute your microphone, or you can write some questions in your chat if you would like. So are there any questions? So if not, I have another one. Oh, okay, here we have a question. Do you think one should have more than one mentor?
Well, could be. I haven't experienced it in my own journey because I've been taking part in different projects, like mentoring project of European Paralympic Committee, which a senior or let's say more experienced women leaders lined up with the newcomer, the younger generation who are aspiring to become leaders. And it was a quite fruitful experience, learning experience for me as well. But why not? I mean, you can have different mentors at the same time offering you different perspectives. It can be, yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you. So I have another question for you. We often speak about structural barriers, especially for women athletes. In your view, what are the most persistent structures barriers every day? So particularly in university sports?
Well, I think the most persistent barrier, especially in the university environment, is that there's a lack of holistic understanding of student athletes. Because often student athletes are defined only by their performance on the play, and we often overlook their other roles like students, leaders, role models. So I believe that university sport environments should support athletes not only in their performance goals, but also in their leadership development and career preparation. Also, maybe addressing gender stereotypes could be a good way to do it. Access to networks and mentorship, again, is also important to overcome these barriers, because leadership pathways are often shaped by informal networks, and when a woman are excluded from those networks, their opportunities become very much limited. So addressing these barriers requires multi-level approach, combining different dimensions, ranging from maybe institutional policies, cultural change, and individual empowerment. Yeah.
Thank you. We have another question in the chat. In your opinion, does cultural difference play a role in the empowering women in sports?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Does cultural differences play a role in the empowering woman in the sports environment? So now I have it correctly.
Coaches, definitely, because I mean, whether they adopt autonomy supportive approaches in their relationship with athletes, quite make difference, I think, because if you are very much controlled in your decisions or in your athletic career, then this doesn't leave you so much room for you to improve yourself, not in terms of just sport, but also in different capacities as well. So I think coaches play a quite important role in this sense, to encourage their athletes to become autonomous individuals.
Thank you very much. So I saw a raising hand. I don't know if it's still on. If yes, so please unmute and raise the question. Otherwise, we have one last question in the chat. What kind of leadership can support for such kind of opportunities?
I think approaches that move beyond symbolic representations, the leadership that supports creating environments that women can truly participate or influence all decisions at all levels, from bottom to top, matters. And ensuring that it's quite meaningful to contribute to the women's presence in decision-making processes, I think. Also, probably maybe introducing some educational modules like the ones adopted by WADA, like the ones that educates athletes regarding anti-doping programs. It could be similar regarding gender stereotypes to educate future leaders from athletes, I think. So it requires a multi-level approach. This leadership requires multi-level approach. The ones that also supports individual level efforts as well as societal level efforts, targeting maybe media, communication strategies. Also organizational level, like implementing clear policies that I mentioned before, the ones that gender responsive guidelines kind of. So I believe this leadership should emphasize that gender equality is not just a woman's issue. And if only a team is at its strongest when everyone is part of the game.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Gisem. You embody what it means to uplift others, open doors, challenging barriers, not just for yourself, but for the next generation. It's really inspiring. And yeah, thank you for your insights, for your journey, and for all the work you've done so far and continue to do. You are truly an inspiration. And if you have time left at the end of the webinar, we have time for a few questions more. But now I would move on. And we go to our next speaker. From this powerful personal perspective now, we shift to the broader strategic level and explore how gender equality is being advanced across the global sports system. Therefore, it is my pleasure to introduce Pedro Diaz, Gender Equality and Inclusion Manager at the International Olympic Committee. Pedro leads the IOC's strategic work on advancing gender equality across the Olympic movement, and today he will share key insights into the IOC approach, show us current data, and outline best practices. So Pedro, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. First of all, I would like to thank you very much because you put a picture 20 years ago, so it reminded me how I was beautiful back then. Now I'm a little bit older. Before I start, I just want to thank two very important persons that are related with the universitary movement. Fernando Parente, who was one of my mentors in sport management and to allow me to reach an organization such as the International Olympic Committee, and Luciano Cabral, the vice president of FISU, who was also my colleague during MEMOS, and he helped me a lot to continue working on this topic and to become a strong advocate on this. So thank you both. Well, before I start, I will answer to the questions that everybody have right now is, why the hell do we have a man talking about gender equality? And this is because of what Gizen just said before, because gender equality is a basic human right, and it's not specifically a topic for women. Everybody should care about gender equality. So at a certain moment in my life, unfortunately, I was not always an advocate, and I'm already quite old. So back in the time, gender equality was not even a topic, but I had a purpose. After I have participated in 2 universiades, I have participated at the Olympic Games. I wanted to continue working in sport and to make this world a better place through sport. But I didn't quite knew how I could do it. And suddenly I saw the opportunity that, well, sport is still not gender balanced. There's still a lot of work to do. There are not many men involved in the discussion. So I want to be a strong advocate and to bring as many people on board to support on this. And this said, I will start now with my presentation. Let me share here the screen. Okay. Well, I will talk a little bit of the IOC policy to foster gender equality, and why is it important that we are debating this at this FISU webinar? Because FISU organized the second biggest multi-sport event in the world. So we have the Olympic Games, and after we have the FISU Games, who are the second biggest event. So FISU has also important role to the way they portray, the way they represent women in sport. So this is going to be a little bit the structure of my presentation. Okay, so we will go point by point. So we will start with our strategy. So the IOC strategy, it's quite simple to understand. So it's divided in 2 parts. From one part, you have the spheres of influence. So the IOC as organization, the IOC as owner of the Olympic Games, the IOC as leader of the Olympic movement, and Olympism and society. And on the other side, you have focus areas. So when we talk about gender equality, that could be very broad. What are we talking about? We can be talking about participation. How can we do we guarantee that women and girls have access to sport and they can reach high level competitions such as the FISU Games, such as the Olympic Games, and so on? Leadership, and when we talk about leadership, it's not only about management, but also other positions such as coaches, such as referees. How do we guarantee that women and girls can reach these positions? how can we also guarantee that women and girls can do sport in a safe environment? How can we guarantee that they have the same type of representation than men, the same possibilities, and when they are represented, that they are not sexualized? Or how can we also guarantee that there is enough resource allocation for women? And sometimes we are not even talking about specifically on money, but for example, do they have access to the same infrastructures for training, for competition, etc.? So this framework, it was developed by the IOC, but it could be used by any sport organization. So where you see IOC, for example, FISU could just replace IOC by FISU, and it have exactly the same structure. Or if you are a national federation, it's exactly the same thing. So as a national federation, what can you do as an organization? What can you do in the competitions that you organize? And so on and so on. So we understand that we are not going to change the world in just one day. So it's very important, and this was also approached before, to understand what is our main priority. Could it be participation, leadership, safe sport, whatever? So don't try to tackle everything at the same time. Choose your priority, choose the level of influence that you want to apply this priority, and one step at a time, one battle at a time, let's try to tackle this, to achieve this, and then moved for the next one. So this is exactly what the IOC has been doing the last 4 years. We had our strategy. You can see, if you have the interest to look in the internet, in our progress report, but I can also present you a little bit of what we have achieved in recent years. So as it was very well communicated, for the first time ever, we had Olympic Games with the same quota places for men and women, 50-50. This never happened before. Well, this is a little bit tricky. Although we have the same quota places, it doesn't mean that all sports will have women competing. Or, for example, I'm thinking about water polo. You had more teams in men than in women. The same thing with football. Or so we still have the same quotas, but not exactly the same sports. But we are working on that to be as most balanced as possible. In terms of the program, and this is very important. So we completely changed the schedule of the program, and the schedule of the program means more visibility and a different perception of the audience. So, for example, in all the history of the Olympic Games, the athletics event, it finalizes with a men's marathon, not in Paris. In Paris, it was the women's marathon. For example, also in Paris, the games competition always finalized with the men's football game. No, this time it finished with the women's football game. So we try to balance more the schedule to give more visibility to women, and this will give a different perception of the general audience. In terms of leadership, and I know that FISU will have elections soon, so we change our rules. So in the last 12 years, we change a lot. Today, we have 43% of IOC members, 47% of executive board members as women, 42% of commission chairs, and 50% of commission positions. So believe me, it's not possible. There is no more difficult organization to change than the IOC, and we managed to do it. So you can also be able to do it at university level, and we count on the support of the national federations to support on this change. Okay. And some other changes, for example, in in terms of the NOCs and the IFs, they also increase their leadership positions, and we are also looking from beyond the field of play. So we are also supporting. We have reached 50% of participation, but we have other areas, and you will see the numbers just after that, we are still not there. So we are also helping on those programs. But this said, I would like to present you a little bit what is happening at the Olympic Games, okay? But before I present you some data, I would like to present you this video.
Self-belief, respect, and ambition. They belong to us all when we chase our dreams.
The Olympic Games are one of the most powerful platforms for empowering women. And at Paris 2024, we reached a historic milestone. The first Olympic Games with full gender parity on the field of play. The journey has been long. Over the years, trailblazers have led the way. Women have continually inspired the world on the Olympic stage. While the Olympic movement has been working hard to give female athletes the opportunities they deserve, creating the biggest gender-equal sporting event in the world. Let's celebrate the moment, but not stop the journey.
Okay, so these are some of the numbers regarding the participation at the Olympic Games. I already talked about women athletes quota, so it was 50-50. But if we look to other areas, the numbers are still quite low. So if we go to international technical officials, and here we are talking about referees, we are talking about judges. So in Tokyo, we increased, yes, but we are still in a very low number, 37%. So we are really working hard to increase these numbers. And if we go to coaches, there was no increase from Tokyo to Paris, and the numbers remain very low, 13%. So it's very difficult to understand how we managed to reach 50% on women's participation, but in many other areas, and I didn't include here, for example, medical teams, NOC staffs, all those numbers are way below the 50%, so there's still a long way to go, and we are not happy only with the participation. We want to create an ecosystem that is gender balanced in all the different areas. So now we go to the International Federation's leadership data. Here we don't have data of FISU, so the data that we have is from the federations that make part of the Olympic program, okay? But before I present that data, I would just like to recall that on 2016, there was a recommendation from the IOC Executive Board for all the sport organizations to have a minimum representation of both genders of 30%. Okay. In 2022, this went from a recommendation to be embedded in the IOC Universal Principle of Good Governance. Okay. Nevertheless, we can see here that there's still a big gap in terms of presidents of international federations. And again, I'm just talking about the IFs in the Olympic program. We can see that we only have 6 among all the winter and summer IFs. And in terms of secretary generals, we only have 8. If we go to the executive boards, and this is related with the 30% that I was just mentioning prior, only 60% of the IFs, this means 24 IFs, are above the 30% threshold, okay? And although the number it's still not tremendously great, it's only 60%, 4 years ago, it was 35%. Okay, so we managed to change from 35% to 60% of the IFs reaching this threshold of 30% women in their leadership positions. Well, and what are our key priorities regarding international federations for LA 2028? So in terms of leadership, we will continue working with international federations to help them to achieve this minimum representation of 30%, in ITOs to achieve gender balance in their representation. And we already had one-on-one meetings with most of the international federations, and I'm pretty confident that we will have more than 40%. So this would be a great achievement if they fulfill what they have committed. And in terms of coaches, well, we are also working with the international federations, with the national Olympic committees to create the proper pathways to increase the number of female coaches. But you need to understand something. Gender equality is a joint effort. You cannot expect the IOC or FISU to do all the work. We will do our part, but we need to be all together working on this. The continental associations, the national federations, the universities, the clubs, the athletes, if we all go to the same direction, for sure we will achieve our objectives. If not, it will be much harder. Well, and how the IOC can support, because many times I hear people, oh yes, but the IOC could do way more on this topic, and I agree we could do way more, but to be honest, we already do a lot, but maybe sometimes it's not very well communicated. So I would just want to share with you some of the support that the IOC is providing and some of the support that we are providing that could be useful for the universitary movement. Okay, so this the development fund is only dedicated for the IFs in the Olympic program, but the IFs receive money to support programs just like gender equality. We also have some specific scholarships for women in sports. So, for example, the WISH, which is for women coaches, or women leadership workshops that we also organize. We have a specific gender equality, diversity, and inclusion JEDI team at the IOC. So we are here to support the Olympic movement. And we have developed a couple of guidelines and toolkits that I will explain you in the next slides. And we are also monitoring what is happening out there. So we have the International Federation's JEDI survey that you already saw some of those results. And we also monitorize what is happening at the Olympic Games. So to be a little bit more practical, this is the team at the IOC that is supporting. So Katia is our director, Charlotte, she's my head of unit, and me and my colleague Primrose, I work more with the Olympic movement. She works more with the Olympic Games. And then, for example, we have developed the most comprehensive document on the portrait, which is called the IOC Portrait Guidelines. Okay, so this document is available in our website. It's translated in all the languages that you can see here. I think it's already in 8 different languages. Okay, so you will not find a better document than this one regarding the visibility of women in sport. So I invite you. You can scan here the QR code, or you will also receive this presentation later on. Invite you to explore the document, pass it on to your communication teams, to your athletes, and portray better your women during their sport events. We also, and this is a challenge now, then I specifically asked Luciano to be here in this meeting. So we have developed together with Deloitte a maturity assessment document, which is basically a document that supports sport organizations that organize major sport events to be more gender balanced in their organizations. Okay, so we have used this at the Paris Olympic Games. We have used this during Milano Cortina Olympic Games. We are using this now for Dakar 2026, and would be very glad to see that FISU could also adopt this document in their next FISU Games, and to go hand by hand with us on this change. So here is the challenge for FISU. If you would like to know a little bit more about this document and to implement this document in your events, or also some of the countries who are organizing world championships and so on, please contact us and we will be glad to show you a little bit more about the document, how does it work, and to support you on that. continuing here with the presentation. Yes, and this document is a second version of the document that Gizem also mentioned. Okay, so the UN Women, the Turkish office, they have developed a great document. Okay, and then the head office, together with the IOC, we try to improve a little bit more this document. So I would say that this is one of the most important documents that you can find, because it's the most basic document that you can get to start working on this. Like also Gizem mentioned, not everybody is an expert on gender equality, and I perfectly understand that, okay? But this document will help you to go step by step to understand the different focus areas, to understand the level of your organization, and to understand the next steps that you can take. Okay, so you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to do something completely innovative. Okay, the document is already existing. The document is there to support you. So again, is available. It's available for free in our website, but you can also find the QR code here. Okay. And finally, I would like to share some good practices that are already developed by other international federations. The change is happening, okay, and is happening faster than we can imagine, and it's a fast train, okay. So we need to understand where we want to position ourselves in the train. Do we want to be in the front line of the train and to lead the change, or do we want to be in the back and to be led? So this is some of the actions that some of the international federations are already putting in practice. And for example, World Athletics, they have introduced a progressive quota in their system, and actually they have reached the 50% before they predicted. So this was incredible. The Golf Federation, they have installed a quote in their General Assembly, because General Assemblies are the pathways for women to reach leadership positions. So they understood this, and they developed a specific quota for this meeting. Or, for example, World Sailing, who have developed an amazing strategic plan for women in sailing. Or, for example, Biathlon Federation, who has launched a $10,000 award to recognize national federations who have implemented great initiatives on gender equality. But we have more. For example, FIBA, they have created a great mentoring program for women coaches in professional environments. Or, for example, gymnastics, who have introduced a specific rule that if you take more than one coach for their competitions, both genders need to be represented. Okay. Or, for example, motorcycling, who adapted the Portugal guidelines that I have just presented to the specificities of motorcycling. Or, for example, a Hockey Federation, who developed a great program on international technical officials, which allow them to reach 50-50 at their World Championships and at the Olympic Games. So these are just a couple of examples that I wanted to bring. I'm happy to tell you that we could find way, way, way more, but this is just a tease to see what is happening out there. So I leave you this page with some of the resources that I have presented previously. Okay. I would also tell you this is what we are already going to achieve in LA 2028. So for the first time ever, we will have more women coach quotas than men. We will increase the number of women events. We will have more gender balance team sports. We will have more football teams in LA compared to Paris, equal number of water polo teams, Let me just change here. We will have equal number of weight divisions in boxing, and we will have more mixed gender events. So the IOC is doing their part. This is what we commit to LA, and now it's my challenge to you. What can you do in your own reality, in your own university, as an athlete, in your own club, in your own national federation, in your own continental association, or in your own international federation? What can you do to promote gender equality? With this said, I would like to finalize my presentation. Here you have my contact. If you would like to get in contact, it would be a pleasure to get in contact with you. And thank you very much. And now I wait for your.
Yes, thank you very much, Pedro, for this insightful presentation and for sharing the inspiring work of IOC and also other organizations. So now we would like to open the floor again for our audience. So if you have any question for Pedro, please feel free to share them with us. Yes, the first hand is up, Tashi Wangchuk.
Tashi, I think you need to unmute yourself and to start making the question.
Otherwise, try to write it in the chat if your mic doesn't work.
Maybe we can go to another one and then we go back to Tashi if she cannot pose her question right now.
Oh, no, it's here. We have one question in the chat. If there are details about the how can IOC support in your website to explore further? And there's a second question that goes with it. How are good practices made to exchange internationally or to reach at the ground level?
Well, the first question, how we can support, is not specifically mentioned on the website. Okay, we put in the website available all the documents, toolkits, guidelines that I've just mentioned. Okay, but you are lucky enough to listen to this presentation, so you already know how we can support, and you will have access to this presentation, and so you have an advantage regarding the rest of the world. Okay, so you will have access to this presentation, and please take advantage of that. Regarding the second question, it was not completely clear what it was the question.
How are good practices made to exchange internationally or to reach at the ground level?
Well, all changes, they have an impact, but the changes of big organizations, of course, they have impact at a grassroots level also, because we change the entire structure. Okay, and I'm going to give you a small example of my own sport, judo. So at the Olympic Games, we managed together with international federations to change the rules for the first time, that all the finals in judo, men and women, they compete at the same time, but when you reach the finals, it's always the women's first and the men's after. And this was like this forever. We decided at the Olympic Games we would alternate. So one day it would finish with men, but the second day it would finish with women. And this never happened before at the international federation level. So what happened is that this change at the Olympic Games changed the international federation in their world competitions. Then the continental associations changed this at their continental events, and then the national organizations changed this at their national events. So you can see that one rule applied at the international level had a big impact in all the different parts of the sport ecosystem. So that's why it's so important for organizations like the IOC and like FISU to take the lead on this topic.
Thank you very much. I think we have time for one question. So Tashi, write it down. Despite many policies supporting gender equality in sports, what concrete action can organizations take to ensure equal leadership opportunities and fair resource allocation for women athletes?
Well, I think that the most valuable point, and this was also already mentioned by Gizen, I think that we definitely need to change the leadership of sport organizations, because until now they are a male domain. Okay, you can do it this, and if you have enough mature organization to natural to happen, or then to use quotas. And many people are against quotas, but research tells us that quotas is the most efficient manner to try to balance something that it was unbalanced during decades, during centuries. So once you have a balance leadership of a sport organization, then you will have a balance of everything, because the ecosystem will just align. So I think that it's really important to create this balance. And once again, I know that FISU will have now a discussion on the changes of their leadership, and I hope that national federations support FISU in this change.
Thank you very much. So we have now 2 questions left, but I would leave them to the end. Maybe we have time then to answer them. So maybe you have to answer 1 or 2 questions again at the end of the webinar, Pedro. So let's move on. Pedro, once again, thank you for your insightful presentation and the positive impact on gender equality. Now we move on from the institutional point of view to the perspective of the next generation, because empowerment is not only shaped at the policy level, it is lived every day by student athletes, navigating training session, competition, exams, expectation, and their dreams. So therefore, it's my pleasure to welcome Sabrina Miyabarra, a rising Brazilian table tennis athlete who is currently balancing high-level competition with her academic journey. Sabrina, we are very happy to have you with us, and welcome.
Oh, hi. I'm very happy to be here and share some experiences and answer the questions. So I'm very excited about it. And yeah, thank you very much.
Cool. So let's start with the first question. You're a young athlete. I'm wondering if you have any role models who inspire you when it comes to gender equality in sports.
Oh, yeah. I have 2 big inspirations for me in table tennis. That is, one is Bruna Takahashi, that she is currently the strongest female player in Brazil now. And she has been achieving results that had never been reached before in our country. So seeing her succeed inspires me and many others athletes in Brazil, especially women. And the other inspiration for me is her name is Jessica Yamada, that she was my coach. So since I was very young and like a kid, I was seeing her like a very big inspiration, and she was very strong. And her, when she was playing, I was just very uh, excited to see her playing because she was very strong and never give up. So these 2 women are very like like a dream. It's like it be a dream to be like them one day, and they are a very big inspiration for me.
That's very lovely to hear, and to hear how role models encouraging and inspiring you through your career. So you are competing at national and international level, and during these competitions, there's much more than just performance. For example, there's media coverage, coaching structures, or funding. From your perspective, do female athletes receive the same level of support and recognition in these areas?
Um, l- uh, Wait, can you repeat, please?
Yes. I'm wondering if you, sorry, do you feel that you as an athlete receive the same level of support and recognition in like media coverage, coaching structures, or funding?
Oh, for me, I don't think the females athletes always have the same level of recognition in my sport, table tennis. From my experiences, there are still moments when women's competitions are not valued as much as men's, especially in terms of investment and visibility in the media. But I have seen these last years that more opportunities are appearing for both, and which is a very positive step for the sport. So yeah, I think the investment is not the same and the media is kind of different, but in this last year I saw a very big um like change in a positive way. So I was very happy about it. And yes, I think it was very good this last years for us.
Thank you. So let's move on with another question. As an athlete, you have goals you want to achieve and you work toward them every day. So if you have one wish, what could better support your career as a young female athlete and make it easier to achieve your goals?
If I could ask for something, I think I would ask for more investment in international competitions, because competing abroad is extremely important for an athlete's development. And with more opportunities to play internationally, I believe it would help to gain more experience and improve my level as an athlete, because at the opportunity to have practice abroad, I think is very important too. So I think this would be my wishes for it.
Yeah, great point. I hope we can build on that and making your wish come true. So
Thank
you're an
you.
athlete about 10 years now. Have you ever experienced moments where you personally felt a difference how women's sport was positioned compared to men?
Oh, yes, I have been to situations where there was a difference between men's and women's competitions. Like once I played in a tournament where the strongest category only gave trophies for the men's category. Like it was not a very official competition, but the men's category received trophies, but women's category didn't receive trophies, like just one medal or something. So I saw a difference and I was kind of confused. And there have also been tournaments where women's category wasn't organized, like there was just men's category. So when I went to compete this, I entered to the men's category because there was not a women's category. So yeah, I think this was the moments that I experienced it, but it was not official competitions, just small ones. But I thought like this was kind of wrong.
Yeah, thank you for sharing these. And yeah, now I would like to invite our audience once again. So if you have any questions for Sabrina, feel free to ask. And I look in the chat. Oh, one. How have you managed your time between academic and sports?
This was kind of a little challenge, but I think I'm managing very good now. I have been practice like in the morning and during the afternoon, and then I need to study during the when I go home and I study at night. So I am managing kind of good this and equilibrate, like have some like a balance for it. And I'm doing good in both sides, so I think I'm managing very good. But I need to stay very focused every day and be at kind of have some good attention in both sides. So it's kind of challenging, but we can do this. So I'm very confident about this both parts.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of challenges, but you're doing a great job so far. So thank you once again for sharing it. And because we have a little bit of time left, I would now open the floor once again to ask questions for all of our speakers. So one question for Pedro again, because before we haven't the time. Pedro, you mentioned two great male mentors at the start who have helped you, but oh, sorry, no, I skipped this. So starting again, you mentioned two great male mentors at the start who have helped you, but what great women have inspired or mentored you?
Well, actually, many, because to be honest with you, when you have a woman who reach a leadership position, you know that this woman have to pass for way more than a man. A man, they are allowed to fail. Women, they are not allowed to fail in the sport environment, you know. So they need to be more resilient. They need to be more well prepared, and so on. So I had a lot of women who also support me to reach this position, who help to support me in my career, and it's important for women to support women. Sometimes we have in Portugal we call it the crab syndrome. So sometimes, because it's so difficult for women to reach a position in the sport environment, then sometimes say, oh, now the young one needs to pass exactly the same thing that I did. Okay, so it's not like that. So uh, everybody needs to help each other, but mainly women need to support women, so they don't need to pass what you have passed. You can help her to get a shortcut to get there. So this was to respond to specifically to that question. I just mentioned Luciano and Fernando, because in the one in the beginning of my career, another one when I started working with the topic of gender equality inclusive. Luciano invited me to go to Brazil to present in FISU Americas, also on the topic of gender equality. But I have been working all my life with women, and I have a lot of women that I admire, because, like I told you, when you have a woman who reach these kind of positions, you know that she's really good.
Thank you very much. And I also add like another question for you, Pedro. What is the IOC planning to do to accommodate female media personnels in sport? It's usually not talked about enough.
Yes, this is one of the comments that I made. Sometimes we do some stuff, but it's not well communicated. So the way you represent women is also according to the bias that we have. So what we realized is that in many means of communication, we have behind the cameras or behind the pen or behind the microphone, it's a man. Okay, so what we try to do specifically with our OBS team is to prepare and to have more women in these technical positions. So when they are filming, that they have the conscious and the responsibility to film properly women and so on. So OBS has been doing an amazing job on this. So we have increased the number of women photographers. We have increased the number of women commentators. We have increased the number of women who are filming. But to be honest, sometimes we offer positions and we offer training, and we don't have still enough women applying. So it's necessary that women step up. Like Gizem said also, sometimes you just need a little bit of push. You need to be confident. Well, you're not going to hear a yes all the time. Sometimes you will fail. Sometimes you will hear a no, but you need to keep continue trying. So the opportunities are there. They are open, but we also need for women to step up.
Okay, thank you very much. So there's a lot of questions coming in the chat. I have one for Sabrina, for you. So how do you multiply all your potential in sports with other women, especially university athletes?
Um, yeah, I always have doing my best during the competition, and we have, like me and the other girls, we have always a good performance during the games, and we all give our best. So there's a good competitive atmosphere. So I think we all do our a good potential like this. So this is a good thing. And especially university athletes, because we all are studying, so we all have to do both both sides. We need to be in competition, and at the same time we need to study, so we all are kind of tired, so we need to kind of do extra potential in our games. So but I think we all are good at this, so we all have a very nice potential there.
Thank you. And another question again for you, Sabrina. Your wish is to have greater investment to be able to compete internationally. However, do you think there's a difference in the investment made for male student athletes of your age in the same sport in comparison to the investment made for women? Or for you especially?
Like the investment for competitions internationally.
Yes.
When we go competing internationally, I think there is a nice investment for both. Like when they invest, they try to invest both sides, because in the past, kind of there was not investment, so this is kind of getting better. So the investment now is better, and it's for both sides. But sometimes they don't invest a lot of this in internationally, but now it's improving a lot, so it's good for us.
So can you outline a bit how you managed to secure fundings to participate in tournaments, especially during the early stage of your career?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. In my career, I think the investment was pretty okay. And when it had the investment, I was really into this. So I just did my best there. And oh, wait, I think I didn't understood this question very good.
So how you managed to get like fundings? Do you have to applicate or something? How does it work?
Okay. Uh, how this would work? Like this would be the investment to go abroad would be very good for me. Like I could practice and participate more in competitions like abroad, because the level is better. So this would improve a lot my game, and the competitions around the world would be kind of nice to me and the others athletes to improve our game and our level. And yeah, I think this.
Thank you very much. And I think it's a question for Pedro and for FISU, so maybe for Michelle or Zara. What is the IOC and FISU planning to do to make sure that upcoming female administrators are supported in their transitioning from student athletes to administrators, coaches, technical officials?
That's for FISU.
Do you want me to take that one?
Would be great, yeah.
I don't have a lot of detail, so I know you haven't got a lot of time left, so I'll keep it short. But in response to the question, FISU has and is undergoing a process, and one of the frameworks that was mentioned earlier in this discussion around becoming, the UN published a guideline on becoming a gender responsive organization. FISU has adopted that framework. So there are a number of initiatives within that framework that we're developing, a number of different strands that we're developing in conjunction, the Gender Equality Committee in conjunction with the Education Committee in particular, around the question that was asked to support and mentor and help our female athletes see themselves as future leaders and future administrators. So that work is ongoing. There are some initiatives already, the FISU Ambassadors Programme and other initiatives that are being developed that are in progress to support and help young female athletes become the future leaders and administrators. So it's an ongoing process which we're developing, and yes, we're watching very closely what Pedro and his colleagues are doing in the Olympic movement, and we will adapt and make bespoke programs where appropriate within FISU. So thank you for the question.
Thank you for your answer, Michelle. So I think we have time for one more question. That's for Sabrina again. As a student athlete competing at high level, how has sport helped you grow as a leader and a role model for promoting gender equality among young athletes?
Oh, for me, when I'm competing in a high level, the sport has helped me to like competing in the selection of table tennis. So I think I had a lot of experience in sport during my entire career, and they help it a lot. And when we are at the selection to go and compete in the South American Games and Pan American Games and youth World Games. So this was a very nice experience, and for both, like for men and for women, of course. And this was very nice because they were like improving this for both sides. So the equality was kind of nice for us, especially that we were young. So they helped us a lot, and these experiences kind of made us grow. So this was nice for all of us. And in the high level, we need to practice a lot. So they made a kind of weeks practice for us, and we had improving our level. And for men and for women, because in the past it was just for men, so they kind of was participating women too this last year. So this was nice for us. And yes, it was nice.
Thank you for sharing that. So the webinar slowly comes to an end. So once again, thank you again, Sabrina. Listening to you and also to Gisem and Pedro earlier was very inspiring, and it makes one thing very clear, that gender equality in sport is not a single action or a single policy. It's a continuous journey, and that journey involves all of us. So for this reason, I would like to thank everyone in this digital room for joining today's webinar, and also to asking interesting questions to our speakers. And once again, thank you very much, Pedro, Gisem, and Sabrina, for sharing your expertise, your experiences, and your visions. A little bit of applause in the digital room here, and much of thank you notes in the chat. So what we have heard today spans from global perspective to personal journeys, from governance to competition floors, from policy framework to lived realities. And one message stands out clearly: to empower the next generation, we need to work together, listen and learn from each other, uplifting one another, creating opportunities by breaking barriers. And each of us can create impact within our own environment. But progress does not require perfection, so it requires commitment. So please let this conversation not end here. Let it continue in your universities, in your federation, in your team, and in the pathway you choose to build. And to officially close this webinar today, I would now like to invite the FISU President, Mr. Leons Eder, to share his closing remarks.
Yes, bien.
Thank you so much. First of all, you can see that I'm sitting in a taxi. I just landed in Budapest, where I will meet the minister, and we hope that Hungary will continue to offer great opportunities for student athletes also in the framework of FISU. So let me thank the Gender Equality Committee, because Aura, with Michel and all the other members, with Svea as a moderator, all the persons involved for the great job doing, not only now with this webinar, and thanks also to the speakers, but for years they insist that FISU should become better and better. And I would like to say three things. Number one, I hope you celebrated the International Day of Women's Day last Sunday, number one. Number two, I hope that you all have read the news on the FISU website with the 5 stories from different ladies a couple of days ago. And third is very important. Before the games, the Winter Games in Changchun next January, we have an extraordinary General Assembly where we should approve the new strategy 2731 and the new statutes. And the good news, because with the help of Rosaura and all the other members of the FISU Executive Committee, including FISU First Vice President Luciano Cabral, who joined this webinar at the beginning at least, it was my sincere wish, and now it's in the proposal for the new statutes, that for the Executive Committee, we ask a 40-40-20 representation. Means at least 40% must be ladies, 40% men, and the other remaining 20% can be men or female, men or ladies or whatever. So I think this is a very important step forward in our structure, in our organization, to be more equal, more inclusive, and I hope that all of you will motivate your delegates to come to this extraordinary General Assembly and to vote for the new strategy in favor, and especially also for the complete new statutes. This is important for the development of FISU, not only as a sport organization, but as an organization who takes care of all our members, especially of the ladies, of the women, of the girls, for the development of their personal life, and also for the development of students worldwide. Having said this, again, thank you all for your great involvement, your great engagement. I am so proud of you. And as I said at the last General Assembly, when I was elected president, it's my goal and my duty to support the better representation of the female population in all fields of the FISU activities. Thank you all for your support in this question, but not only in this question, for also your support for me personally, that I can reach my personal goals with all of you together. Thank you so much. And having said this, I give the words back to Svea or to Rosaura, whoever would like to close this meeting. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for this closing remarks. Rosaura, if you have anything to add, otherwise, I would like to thank once again all of you to participate. Yeah, Rosaura.
Thank you for all participation. The webinar is very interesting, very productive. Our promise is every day we explore new opportunities for all women, for all members of the FISU. Thank you so much. We need the support for all people, not only for women. We need the men's. We need the young people. We need build the new strong organization, more equality. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rosaura. And if you're interested in the slides or in the recording of the presentation and the whole webinar, please write an email to education@fisu.net. So because it was a question in the chat. So then it's nothing left to say. Then thank you all once again. See you soon.
Svea?
Goodbye and have a good, yes.
Svea, I would just like to thank you for hosting this webinar. Great job and well done to you,
Yes.
one of our young females. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
Well done,
for
Svea.
thank you for the FISU staff.
Thank you very much.
With staff. Thank you so much, Virgin, Fernando, for all people.
Gracias.
You can close
So
it
now
down,
then we can officially
close.
close the webinar. Thank you
The
all
webinar
and goodbye.
is
See you
closed.
soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, President.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.